Today, we are joined by Mr. Josh Murphy, Chief Legal Counsel at Mayo Clinic, to talk to us about men as allies. Thank you so very much, Josh, for joining us.
You're very welcome. It's good to be here.
So, can you tell us a few interesting things about yourself, Josh?
Sure, although I'll probably have to go to the period of my life before I became a lawyer. That was a much more interesting time. So I'd offer two things. After college, but before I went to law school, I actually had an opportunity to go to the Oscars.
Wow.
I was living at that time in Santa Monica, California. My roommate's dad was an executive at ABC. They were producing the Oscars, and he got us tickets to go. For those old enough to remember, this was 1989, and this was the year of Rain Man, and it was a wonderful evening.
Fantastic.
The second interesting fact I would offer was also during around that same time period, before I went to law school, I worked as a bicycle messenger in Boston in the winter time. And so I was riding my bike from building to building, delivering packages and documents back then, before we had email quite as common as we have it now, and really enjoyed the work, even though it was kind of hazardous and I didn't have health insurance at the time.
Wow.
But I survived.
I have to admit, an interesting fact, I have never personally sat down with somebody who has attended Oscars in real life. So thank you. That is very cool. We had a fantastic session earlier today when you presented at GRIT 2019 at Ojai Valley about men as allies. I have to admit, the audience, the attendees were, all of us were spellbound by your deep and rich perspective. What does GRIT mean to you?
For me, I think GRIT has two elements to it. And one is a little bit protective. I think GRIT is about developing the skills and the knowledge and the insights that helps us make our very challenging jobs a little bit easier, a little bit less stressful, and helps us all develop a better balance between our personal and professional lives. The second element, at least in my mind, about GRIT is that it helps serve as a springboard. It helps us not just have that stable foundation, but also gives us the skills and the inspiration to advance further in our career if that's what we want, if we want to attain higher levels of leadership in the organization.